Liberty City Council meeting for February 13th, 2012 to order. Before I ask for the invocation, I want to...
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you so much for this day, Lord, the blessings you give us, most of all for your forgiveness that you've given us through your Son. Lord, just pray, Lord, that as we gather together, Lord, we do keep those in remembrance that are hurting around us, Lord. Just pray that you be with their families and that you make and help them realize, Lord, that you are in control in every situation. We pray, Lord, that you would be in control of us, Lord, that you would help us to lead the city of Liberty in the best way possible and make the best decisions that we can. Lord, we love you and we praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On your agenda, on tab 1, we have the approval of City Council meeting minutes for January the 9th, 2012, and the work session minutes dated February. Okay, sorry. Dated February the 6th, 2012. I will entertain a motion that we approve as written the minutes of the January 9th, 2012 City Council meeting.
Make a motion we approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Motion carries. I will entertain a motion for approval of the work session minutes dated February 6, 2012.
Make a motion that we approve the work session minutes dated February 6, 2012 as written.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion. Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Motion carries. We have two items on the agenda tonight under topics from the public. Our outside CPA, Drake Curry of Curry & Associates, is here to give a report. Mr. Curry.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate y'all having me. And let's clarify one thing right off. We have an unqualified report, which is good. That's a clean opinion. So everything's in good shape on the financial record side in the City of Liberty once again for this year. That's great. Let's turn to page 3, if we could, the statement of net assets. Now this is a combination of both the general fund and the water fund. They both have their own columns, and then we have a total. But this is stated more on a business type approach, where you'll have your assets and your debt. So the good news is we have a total of $5,740,681 worth of net assets, and that's the difference between our total assets minus our liabilities. So we're in good shape there. In just a minute, I'm going to hand you out a look at the 3 different years, and we'll spend a little more time with it. Page 4 is nothing more than a statement of net activities, which is, in the business world, statement of income. If you look at the bottom, the change in net assets under governmental activities is a negative $2,961. The water fund, which is the business type activities, $42,285. And the combination between the two is $39,324. So it means we're operating between the two funds in a positive manner. That's great. All right, if you turn to page 4, which is the balance sheet, and this is presented on the governmental type of accounting. And if you'll notice, there is no long-term debt, which would be your bonds and capital leases and this type of thing. Actually, they're treated as a funding source on a yearly basis for budgetary purposes, and it wouldn't be on here. At the bottom is, of course, the things that the bridge between the $152,108 worth of net fund balances to the $1,706,487, that you saw on the front page, and those are the explanations for the differences between the two types of presentations. On the very next page, our revenues on the fund basis is we're negative $159,069 this year. However, we had new capital lease obligations of $75,860, which left us at a deficit of $83,209. But still in the end, we had a positive fund balance of $152,108. Now, I think we'll stop on that for a minute. Let me pass this out. On the first page here is the two types of statement presentations for the balance sheets and the statement.
I got one extra from you.
Oh, we got it. Thank you. Now, the interesting thing is we're looking at that balance sheet, and it says page 5, fund accounting, and it's got 2011, 10, and 9. And you can see from the cash over these 3 years, they're relatively, we end up with the same amount of cash. Goes from $456,079 in 2009, and then we're at $456,988 in 2011 for the general fund. Receivables are up this year, $361,299 versus $237,651 in 2009. Prepaid expenses are down from $21,074 to $10,821 over the 3-year period. Restricted cash is up to $363,458 from the $301,344. Now, if you go look side by side over the statement of net assets, the only difference between those is the capital assets less the accumulated depreciation. So that's what that bridge is talking about, or at least part of it. So when you refer to that, I thought this would be helpful to kind of use this to kind of see where things are going over the 3 years on that. Accrued expenses went from $98,203 in 2009 to $130,368. Deferred revenue from $73,075 to $108,957. And most of that are taxes that haven't been paid, and we probably can expect to collect that because when they sell those properties, we're going to get our money. So that's not too terribly bad. Internal balances in the general fund went from $486,762 to $801,133. You can sort of discount that because all that is the balances that the general fund knows the water fund. You looked at them collectively and it's a zero. So I wouldn't pay much attention to the 801,133 at this point. I'm going to say a little something about that in a little while. Now, of course, if you look over there at the opposite statement of net assets, page 3, the difference right there, those capital lease, accrued interest, capital lease obligations, bonds, payables, and compensated absences, they're added to them. It's really probably a more comprehensive approach if you're looking at a statement of net assets and those things, because you're going to have to pay those. Let's look over there on the next page, and we're talking about the water fund in the same regards. And as you notice, that we don't have anything in cash. Well, we do have in restricted cash, and those are just those commitments that we've made on a yearly basis to, in case we have some kind of contingency that arises that we may not have anticipated. We do have cash in there to pay. Receivables in 2009 were $211,422, $179,942. Once again, just don't worry about the internal balances because they're just a swap. Prepaid expenses are down about $11,000 in a 3-year period. That's good. Now that we've got accrued expenses have dropped from $84,942 to $50,964, which is a $34,000 swing. That's good. Customer deposits usually stay the same or just about. Accrued interest is up just a little from the 3 years ago or 2 years ago, but it's a little less than last year, so that's great. Our capital lease obligations in the water fund have gone down about $28,000 in that period. The bonds payable have gone down about 23 and some change. Compensated absences are relatively the same. One thought I had kind of looking at this is since we're not earning very much money on the with our cash, it might be well worth it to maybe look at paying down some of this debt at these a little bit higher interest rates than we're receiving. So you might want to study that. Now, what you glean from some of this, in my opinion, is we're using water fund money to pay some of our general obligations. And at some point, we're going to have to recognize that what that really means, the money, our depreciation and the cash that we generate through that non-cash expense, we're moving that cash from the water fund to the general fund, and then it's being used. But at some point, it's going to come back to maybe haunt us, and the fact we're going to need some of that money to fund some of the growth in the water and sewer. So I want you to think about that. And because if you go back to when I said don't pay a lot of attention to the internal balances, they have gone from $486,762 to $801,133 during this 3-year period. Well, or actually in 2 years. And that's the amount of money that's coming over from the water fund to the general fund. So we're going to have to recognize that at some point, because I don't believe we're going to be able to use that money forever, because there's going to be some improvements you're going to need to make. Short of getting a grant to do it, we're going to have to pay it out with cash. So in your next budgeting process, you might want to look at that. Another thing, so I don't take up too much time, it appeared that if you go back and you look at your expenditures or expenses versus budget, the main area that we were over spending versus budget was in capital assets. Now, the great thing about capital assets, as we well know, they don't go out in 1 year. We use them down the line, which that's great. And I wanted to give you, so you'll remember some of these. Our capital assets in the general fund are up $245,677. And of course, those are going to pay dividends over the next number of years, because you won't have to make those expenditures. So that's a real positive note. Under the water fund, we spent $25,030.80. Not as much as we have in the past, but normally, we've been very fortunate, and we've gotten grants to fund a lot of that. And so that's really been truly great. So I'd go back to the back and look at your schedules of expenditures versus budgets by the different departments and within them, and then try to come forward from that, read the notes, and then start back at the front and read from the front to the back to the notes, and it'll be more understandable. Because we know that accountants never state anything to the obvious. It's always there's always a little subterfuge, it seems like to me. But I think that bridge that I created for the 3 years will be helpful in looking at the different statements in different ways. And if you pull your older audit reports, you'll see those. So they're going to make sense. But any questions you have, don't ever hesitate to call. And if we don't have the answer, we'll dig it up. But it's in there, and our books are kept are in good order. Didn't find any improprieties, and we're proud to say that I think the city of Liberty is still in great shape. But I know you're the good stewards, and you'll use this to make it even better. So, anything else?
Any questions? Any questions from Mr. Curry? No, thank you very much. That's good advice, and we'll certainly take these 3 issues into consideration that you pointed out.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next on the agenda, under topics from the public, we have the Liberty Seniors. I believe who's the spokesman for the Liberty Seniors? Mr. Lane. State your name for the record, please.
I'm Bill Lehman. I'm here on behalf of the Liberty Seniors. I appreciate giving the opportunity to speak. I don't really have a lot. I don't have any notes. I don't have any script. I don't have an agenda. The only thing I want to do is speak to you from the heart a minute. I wanted to say to the mayor city council, and the reason I'm going to slip up once in a while with that county council is because I worked for county council for 30 years. I don't know exactly the chains of command and all of you people, but I want to thank the Public Works Director and all of his people. I want to thank Tony Border and their people. I want to thank the Chief of the Fire Department, Mr. Sergeant. I want to thank the Chief of Police and all of his people. And I want to thank all of the people that works at City Hall that are not connected with any of these places I just named. I hope that covered everybody involved with the city, with the exceptions of the people that pays the bills. And I really want to thank them too. And what I wanted to say to you was, I hope that someplace down the road that all of you people that has supported this Liberty Seniors, as we're known now, can look back and think that we have become an asset to this community. We'll work hard at it, but I wanted you to know how much I appreciate on behalf of all of the seniors that have come in. We're averaging now about 15, 16 twice a week, which I think for a startup is pretty good. We're going to try to grow. We want everybody that's a senior in this community in the surrounding area to feel like they can come and be a part of it. But I didn't know of any way to convey that better than to tell all of you in person, on behalf of all of the people that are attending, how much we appreciate it. And thank you so much.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you stepping forward and telling us that. We're committed to do whatever we can do to make this thing work. And I share the same sentiments that you do, that in the short period of time that we had to throw it together real quickly, I think we really accomplished a lot. And we just got some greater things to look forward to. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on into old business. We have on the agenda several ordinances for the first or second reading. The first ordinance is an ordinance to amend the official zoning ordinance of the City of Liberty, South Carolina to establish a design overlay district. This will be the second reading of ordinance number 12-0201. At this time, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the second reading of this ordinance.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, do I have any discussion?
Let me ask about the appeal procedure, I guess, for lack of a better term. Or let me ask about the committee who is going to approve or regulate this. It's made up of, I'll pull it out, architects, or how many, four or five panel?
Richard, can you address
Five. And it's not necessarily Liberty people. It could be out-of-town architects or others.
That's correct.
With an architect, engineer, and different criteria, we want them to live in town. It will be impossible to have all.
Impossible for us. I know we have problems with people in town actually serving on boards and stuff, but
Well, to find the expertise that this requires, we can make it that much more difficult.
that's why I'm hunting the balance of expertise and people who live here. And I don't know if that part of it's not. There's an architectural thing that I've worked with before, and then there's Liberty of where practicality. And that's kind of what.
Well, we're certainly going to do all we can do to get local people on that committee, but to my knowledge, we don't have those expertise living inside the city that qualify to serve.
I think that some of the people that qualify are very close to the city.
They live in the city.
They live in Liberty
Rural
mailing
area.
address, yeah,
Yeah, that's the one that we're talking about.
very close.
Anything else?
I think it's good to have an outside opinion sometimes too, somebody who's not necessarily intertwined in, I can see the benefits of both.
That's from hunting place.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm not sure that we'll get there.
Any other comments? No, we just have to work hard and try to get that balance within the parameters of that.
So maybe if we could maybe amend that later on, we could say just a, lack of a better term, a civilian or a local member who say we felt,
For benefit of the public and record, Richard, list the qualifications of the 5 individuals that can serve on that board.
List the one out.
The qualifications of the 5 individuals that can serve on that board.
let me read it. 513.6, number 2, the board shall be composed of professionals from among the following fields: architecture, landscape architecture, horticulture, building construction, engineering, and urban planning.
And I don't have a problem amending that to include someone from the general populace of the city, a citizen or a business person. I see the purpose for that, and I think it's very important that we have that expertise on this committee making those decisions. But it could be a mix. We could certainly include someone from the general public. a citizen.
Rick, let me say this. We have the criteria of the different, backgrounds of people. But the most important thing with an architectural review board is the common sense of these people, because their decision is final. You're used to the planning commission, which is the recommending body. You guys can say yes, no, modify it. This is like the Board of Appeals. Their decision is final. So I don't care if they live in town or out of town. I think their qualifications as experience and common sense is the main thing here.
Any other comments? Anyone else have any comments? Okay, I have a motion and I have a second. I will call for the vote. All in favor of the second reading ordinance number 12-0201, signify. Okay, all opposed? Is that opposed? 2 opposed and 3 in favor. Motion carries. On tab number 3, we have the first reading of ordinance number 12-0202, which is an ordinance amending the ordinance number 02-0402 to allow the change for the registration section of 20-31, nonpartisan election filing certificate of nominees. Basically what this is doing is pulling the dates to sign up to run for office back 2 weeks. And this was requested by the election commission because they were not having enough time to notify people in service and people out of the country for absentee ballots. So they have requested that we do this, and that's all that does is change those dates. So I will entertain a motion that we approve the first reading of ordinance number 12-0202.
I make a motion to approve.
Now I have a second.
Second.
Have any discussions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of the ordinance? Motion carries. We have the first reading of ordinance number 12-0203. This is an ordinance that is providing for the establishment of an economic development incentive program. We discussed this ordinance at our work session. This is the first reading. There will be a second reading. I will have a member of ACOG make a presentation at our March work session so that you fully understand this ordinance and what its purpose intended is prior to the second reading. So with that, I will entertain a motion that we approve the first reading of ordinance number 12-0203.
Make a motion we approve 2012-0203.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor of motion 12-0203? Motion carries. We have ordinance number 12-0204, which is an ordinance to adopt South Carolina Department of Natural Resources Flood Damage Prevention Ordinance. This is an ordinance that's required by DHEC and EPA. Is that correct, Richard?
FEMA and Natural Resources.
FEMA and Natural Resources. Okay. Richard Davison will make a presentation to us in our March work session, explaining in more detail this ordinance prior to our second reading. But at this time, I will entertain a motion that we adopt ordinance number 12-0204 on the first reading.
Make a motion we adopt.
Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor? Motion 12-0204. All right, unanimous. Motion carries. We have the first reading of ordinance number 12-0205. This is an ordinance to annex a piece of property, number 11 Perry Avenue. It is under the South Carolina rule of 100% petition method. And this is an ordinance to bring that piece of property into the City of Liberty under an annexation law of the state of South Carolina. This is a piece of property that was requested to be brought in by the owner, the property owner. And we did discuss that at the work session. So I will entertain a motion that we approve the first reading of ordinance number 12-0205.
Make a motion we adopt.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor of approving the first reading ordinance number 12-0205. Motion carries. And that concludes our old business. New business, we have a fire department staffing grant. Councilman Rick Clark.
The FEMA, through the Assistant Firefighter Grant, this is called the SAFER Grant for adequate staffing. This part of the stimulus plan also has been money injected into it. And the program now this year, used to you'd have to match years after you paid. They paid 100% of like 2 years, you'd have to match 2 or 3 after that. The new program is they pay 100% for 3 firefighters, what we asked for, and then there's no match after that. So that gives us 2 years to plan, and we're not obligated on the 3rd year to pay their salary. So what I'm asking for tonight is just to let you know to go ahead and get your permission to get 3 free firefighters for 2 years.
They pay the first 2 years, then we take over if we continue.
We can do it, yes.
Correct.
And that's with the rule. The rule's on board, so it'll be a joint effort between us.
And
So,
they pay 100% of the cost,
yes.
no matching grant.
We may have like pay for physicals,
Yeah, pay
small
for the
stuff like that.
cost
That'll
of
be
the
the
employee.
most of what we'll have to pay.
Okay.
They pay full benefits.
And that's
Then after the 2 years, the third year, we're on our own, or they?
Yeah, we're on our own, but we're not mandatory on the third year. It used to be mandatory. We would pay 2 years, and we would be, part of the grant, have to pay another year or two. They've dropped that due to local government stress in the budget. They pay for 2 years, and then it's up to us what we do from there on. We're not obligated by federal government to pay after the 2 years.
Is there a plan after 2 years? I mean, as y'all talk about that. The people that we hire, what?
Yeah, we talked about with rule of where we would kind of be at that time and maybe split that cost also.
Oh, you're talking about them.
What the rule requires.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that gives us 2 years to think about it, and we could, vote against it.
Is it-
Continue, or either we can continue on.
That's what we want to tell the firefighter up front, though, right?
And I think I want to do it where we have a piece of paper that you're a grant, and, the year 2014 or 2015 or what grant, but make sure they know.
That you're not
Yeah.
guaranteed a job after this.
Yeah, and I think with the year, that first year, we start planning our budget to where we try to keep them along the rule too. So that, but I think between 3 firefighters, between both entities, we can do it. And the rule has some plans to build another station, which will capacitate the need for that, another firefighter too.
Those two could transition right in, or two could transition right into that and balance out.
Well, I'm in no means against, hiring others, but I wouldn't want them to face uncertainty at the end of those 2 years. It'd be a big surprise, but up front, they know that.
Yeah.
I would say that. would be-
And I think in that second year of the grant, we ought to be able to stabilize it here. We're going to be able to. In the third year, it will be our grant between both of us.
Okay. Well, this doesn't really require a vote, but I think you have the consensus of the council to agree with that, move forward.
I thought 3 firefighters would work pretty good.
Well, grants are so few and far between, and we need to capitalize on all we can get out there. Any other council member have any new business to bring before council? Hearing none, we'll move on into our reports from committees, and we have a report from the Chamber of Commerce, Vicky Chapel.
How's everyone today?
Great, thank you.
Good. Don't have too much to say. We had a small meeting, short meeting in January, and we did talk about the market, the depot market event that we had last year, that we do want to continue to do that in the spring. Don't know if we'll pick it up in March or April at the latest, or at the earliest. And then, of course, we want to do the Christmas bazaar again this year as well. So we hope to have more of the events during the summertime as well, to get the fresh produce and any kind of new businesses in to help with that right there. So that's all we talked about this year so far. We haven't had our meeting this month. So look forward to starting that up and getting people in the city.
Good. That's great news. I think both of those projects last year were quite successful,
I think so too.
and had real good turnout, real good results. So I'm happy to see that moving forward.
Right, me too.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
I'm unfamiliar with how often y'all had it. What's the plan right now? Is it every week, 2 weeks, once a month?
Once a month, but not every month. I mean, we may start this, let's say April will be our first market depot, our depot street market. And we might have it April, May, June, July, August even. And we may even go into the fall. We might have it every other month. Right now we just haven't decided, but we would like to have it every month if it works out and the attendance is there. you know, the more people that come, hopefully it's going to get bigger and bigger every month that we have it.
Yeah, we'll certainly partner with Chamber and promote doing some things too, like we did the first one. I think it worked really well.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vicki. We will now move into department head reports. Public Works, Barry Chapel.
Our trash truck is about running normal. We had 113 tons, 113.25 tons compared to 100 tons last month. That's nothing we won't be going up. We really want it to come down just on account of recycling. We got to do a better job. I've said that for the last 6 months, but that's not a good one to come up with. Cardboard recycling was 3.8 tons compared to 2.8. It is Mr. Junkins and everybody else, I guess, walk those over more than anybody, but that cardboard station gets full pretty quick. And of course we want it to, and we want to pick up wherever. Co-mingle is, and I may even still be off some on the 9.3 tons, which that takes up from December and January because we didn't make a run, but I think once in December. We're also getting, and I've talked one today about setting up another station that we talked about at the city football field. We want to go for that corner when you come in right there at the stadium and set up a pretty close to the same recycling station that we have over here. It may be a little bit better. Mr. Wilson and I talked last weekend today about if anybody has seen Central's recycling station. I don't know if anybody's seen it or not, but we may get it closer to that one. It's a little bit easier to get stuff in, but we don't want to make it easy enough for somebody to get something out either. Rosewood Center, of course, functions as normal as usual. And he's already talked about the seniors. They are growing. We want you to have 100 people here if you can get them here, And the Rosewood Center people so far, we're still having to come and get some of the trash and whatnot, but they're starting to take it off as Steve takes care of that. I'm telling them now they must take their own garbage out. But the whole situation behind that was because during the holidays, we didn't have the people to come up here and haul the trash out for them. So it was just better for everybody to be told, and thank Sue for doing the job she does, of telling them you've got to take the trash out. I had to come out twice during those holidays and clean up out here in the yard. And some people say we got an animal problem in this town, but I do the best I can with that too. So there we go. Some of the potholes have been repaired in town. I know Evan's giving me a list on some more that as soon as they start back to fixing asphalt, we're going to get those taken care of. The roads that we've been getting paid for the last 3 years, I need another list of any road that y'all think could possibly be paved. I have to turn that in by next Monday. I mean, if it's just any road, they'll take a look and decide whether we're going to get it or not. So if you've got any roads that you think that may need to be done, give me your suggestions on it. Park Plaza over there on Mills Avenue, the piping is completed as far as the drainage that they was needing from the state to get there and get that sidewalk finished. They will get that sidewalk finished and get those yards fixed hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Plumbing rough end was done last week over at the ball fields over at Island to get this canteen going. I'm really behind on it right now. We just haven't had the weather for it. But the plumbing has been finished. I was spoke with one of the electricians that's going to get the bid, the job. He turned that bid in October, I believe it was, with a 30-day deal saying the bid's turned in. We can hold him to his bid right now, but I'm sure it will be much more than what it was because the wiring has went up tremendously, I guess, in the last 4 months. So we'll have to look over that one. But the other bids that I have, they're not even close to what we want to get done over there. The Brock House went back into probate. That was everybody hoping would get torn down. The lady that had bought it, I guess the family decided they wanted to think about it a little bit longer, so it's back into probate. She's supposed to call, I guess, Richard back, or the blogger's going to call Richard back or myself and let us know if she can get these papers signed, and we're gonna go ahead and get that one torn down, but we can't do nothing to that house right now until they get those papers signed. I looked at another one, this one's over at, everybody would know where Church of God Church is, right across the road from them. They want to make a parking lot out there for the church. I don't have the prices for them yet, but I'll tell you when I get the prices ready for them, so if we can get that demoed also. The code enforcement, y'all got that list? It's all animals. I think I'll work one, held down on one wreck, and I'll just sit waiting on the record to come while they took care of that. Any questions?
When you get your revised price from that electrical, we'll sit down and evaluate it. But I understand copper and raw materials have gone up a lot since
Tremendously.
October. Yeah, so I can understand where you're
Right.
coming from.
Barry mentioned, if any of you have any roads in your particular ward, well, now's a good time to inform Barry what the roads are, and so he can take a look at it, and maybe he can get us another 6 roads fixed for $114,000, and it don't cost us anything, so while he's got this thing going, let's do our part and look over our wards and so on.
There's a couple of them in Lakewood Heights that we are going to get. That's what's that Springdale up here. We was waiting to do that to try to get some sewer down there, but that ain't happening right now. So we're just going to go ahead and paint them and just have to have them cut it whenever we need it.
Would it be possible, 93 from Banks down toward the rock station?
I can't do nothing with the state road.
That's
There's been enough trouble with the state.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's
Yeah.
proper work road there.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's probably on its way, but state cutbacks, it's on the list to be done in a different state fund.
Well, that whole section fell through, or on all.
The 111 Townsend Drive, was that a ticket written for code enforcement?
It's animals running loose.
Has a ticket been written?
Yes.
Very good. Is that situation calmed down?
Your friend has been taken care of.
Thank you. See my phone back
Yes, sir.
on. Had to defend your honor.
Got you covered.
How many hours did it take us to collect our recycling on Wednesday?
That's an all-day asset, and then what we have with that, one man driving to the city of Liberty is all that we have. We don't have any more. Of course, we'll pay for fuel and one man, and then we go get 2 trustees from the county that works that every day, and we do buy their lunch for them. We get the lunch for the driver also because they ain't allowed to leave his site, and they all have to go to classes to make sure they're qualified to watch prisoners. And that's all been in writing also. That has to be done through the state, which the county does a class for us, but they're all qualified to do what
We
they
pick
do.
up recycling one day a week.
Wednesdays. Wednesdays.
And citywide.
Citywide, correct.
Where do you take the recycling material, cardboard?
Cardboard, and the co-mingle goes to White Horse Road over. Sunoco has just bought out American Recycling, and that's where it goes to.
Okay, so they are still getting.
As far as being the closest, best price that I can get, that's the best I can get for it right now.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate the
Do I
job.
have any other questions for Barry?
Barry, I appreciate the job you're doing for our seniors, picking up their meals and things for them since they started back.
No problem.
And I know they appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you, Barry.
Yep.
We will hear from the police department. Chief Miller's not with us tonight, but Detective Adam Gilstrap's going to give a report.
The monthly totals for January, 119 warnings issued, 102 citations. We housed 12 juveniles, collected a total of $12,498.32 in fine money. Arrested 7, several for no driver's license, no driving under suspension, accessory after the fact, a couple on bench warrants, and 1 for driving under suspension and possession with intent to distribute methamphetamine. We answered 165 calls for service, We had 99 patrol activities, 45 public service, and 5 traffic accidents. And that's all I have.
Anyone have any questions for the police department? Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Water and Sewer Department, we'll now hear from Olin Hammond.
For the water department, we had replaced 32 meters that was bad or stopped running, 4 service lines to houses. We did have a 6-inch water main break on Blue Ridge Drive. The guy had went to live right next door to it. He said the water stopped at 12. We didn't get the call that the main was broke until 7 o'clock that morning, so we didn't have a lot of water run out. So we did replace it, replace actually 22 feet of the 6-inch water line, and got that fixed. Stormwater audit is coming up February 29th. DHEC is going to check over our program to see if it's operating to where it needs to be or give us unsatisfactory ones. So we'll be looking at that. Sewer calls, we had 97 sewer calls. We jetted out 6,000 feet of sewer main and this month altogether, and replaced 4 service lines to houses. Vehicle maintenance, we've done 6 oil changes and 2 major repairs. One of them was fixing the chipper. We got it finished up, and then the trash truck, the 05 trash truck went down, and I had I got bids for it, and it was the cheapest one was Crew Cat, was $8,000, so I done it in-house and done it for $3,300. Other than that, that's it.
Anyone have any questions for Water and Sewer Department?
How often does DHEC inspect? I really don't know.
DHEC does on the water side. We get a annual report every year out of Greenville Region 4. And of course on sewer, we don't get any audits or anything like that unless we've had complaints on our sewer system, like on a pump station and stuff like that. But on the stormwater, we will be audited at random because we've been in it 5 years. So this is the first time in 5 years as far as our audits has come through. So other than that, I mean, it's just sporadic or whenever they want to.
How do you use the fair when they do an inspection? You do well or fine? Or?
Yeah, they're gonna find something wrong most of the time anyway. But we've had satisfactory on the water side. So, but I won't know on the stormwater until we go through it. So we'll see how everybody's going with it.
Stormwater regulations are drastically changing.
Do they let you know what they're going to expect? And
I got a 25-page checklist that they got. I got to get prepared for. So, and they don't want me to say it's in my manual. They want a page number and a copy to hand to them. So, yes, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you, Owen. We'll now hear from Chief Sergeant in the Fire Department.
On the calls for last year, we had 20 in January. This year was 39. And it was split about 25% in the city and rural was 10 and 29 in district. We've had 2 major house fires in the past 2 weeks. The first was on Sitton Street, January 31st, and the other was on Branchwood Drive, February the 7th. And both residents lost everything. It was fully involved when we arrived. And today is the 2-week anniversary of that, and we have a third one today. Major abandoned house. But Anderson County was out on 3 calls. They had 4 departments tied up in 3 house fires. So they toned us out. Pendleton backed us up. It was just in Anderson County off of Turner Road, but it was fully involved. And we just got cleaned up about 30 minutes before this. Then the training, on January the 3rd, we had a RIT training, which is Rapid Intervention Team. It's a team solely for rescuing downed firefighters, and we also trained on our Mayday exercise. January the 17th, we toured Cornell, Dublier, checked out their fire equipment and all, and we trained on bloodborne pathogens. In our fire academy courses, we had 5 firefighters to complete firefighter 1. We had 1 firefighter completed low-angle rescue, the rope rescue, and right now we have 5 firefighters taking firefighter 2, which is in progress. It should finish up by the end of this month. The inspections, the same one that was on last month, Jet Expeditors. It's going to be a freight business on South Commerce. I'm not sure if they're in operation yet or not. We've installed all the equipment on Service 1 that the rural district purchased. The emergency lights were removed so that instead of having it painted, they put plastic wrap on it, and it's been installed on the box. The county is going to paint the cab and the rear door. The reason we're doing the rear door, they can't get this plastic to stick to it. We still have to install the radio siren and finish up on the lights. The ladder truck is presently in Greer on Highway 101 for transmission problems. It will not pull in reverse and slip in the drive. We got an estimate today on it, so the cost will be $7,278 plus tax. So it's going to run right around $7,700. The engine 5, which is a rural district pumper, go to Christopher Trucks tomorrow to locate an ongoing problem with acceleration. It's just jumping and skipping a lot. At least the rural pay for that, not the city. Then I'm waiting on Bethlehem Roanoke Water District to return their ISO water survey. We're going to try to have it back Friday, but haven't received it yet. I did get the maps from the GIS. I think we're just about ready to go. Once we get that in, we get all the paperwork lined up and copies made. Any questions?
If I doesn't show up by, say, Monday, let me know again, please.
Next Monday?
Okay. I don't think plenty of time.
Yeah, I'll give Randy a call tomorrow and see how it's going on.
All right.
Appreciate what you've done with those fires. They're good things from other people. How well you guys work.
And a lot of hard work.
I'd like to thank Central and Norris too on the next work.
And Pendleton backed us up today, and Central and Norris on the Branchwood fire. We had deep water on 7th Street. We had a pumper, just laid out a 50-foot section of hose. We had 5-inch structure pumper. So we didn't need real assistance from that.
This seems a little high on this cost for the transmission problem on the ladder truck, $7,278. My gosh.
Well, that's the type of it, because it goes on the fire truck. It's got a PTO on it.
It's got a Allison transmission in it.
Big
And it will be a
diesel,
reman transmission.
and that's a rebuilt transmission,
Yeah.
reconditioned transmission price.
You're looking at $15,000.
$15,000 for new.
It's not your manual cheap transmission.
It's not your regular
That
overlay
still
bill.
sounds high to me.
Well, it is high, Walt. I totally agree with you. And for information to council too, that we may have to transfer some money from contingency fund to pay for that. But we haven't decided yet how we're going to do it. But we don't have an option, I don't think, of not doing it. Because it certainly endangers life, health, and safety of the public not to have a truck ready and able.
I'm glad y'all gave me a response.
Thank you, Chief Sergeant. All right, that concludes, we have one more department, the rec department, but Tony's going in about 4 directions, he always is, and we don't have a report from the rec department, but I guess I can sum it up by saying he's alive and well and everything's going wide open. So we'll now move into city council reports. Councilman McJunkin, do you have anything to add?
Barry, I took care of all I'm gonna have about the state putting a sign up, way they can put it on the edge of somebody's property there and they can't cut the grass, so that's the only thing that I did.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Clark.
I don't have anything further.
Thank you. Councilman Harrison.
I don't have anything else this time.
Thank you. Councilman Patton. Well, that's easy. But I do have a couple of things. Just for information now, we have set up a work retreat for March 10th, 9 a.m. at Rosewood. That's our annual planning retreat, and I'm doing a little something different this year, and I've got all of the department heads mad at me, but that's okay. I've asked them to attend. I think they need to be a part of the process, and they need to be involved. And we will have that planning session on March 10th at 9 a.m. at Rosewood here. Also, I have set up a meeting for Thursday, the 23rd of this month at Rosewood at 5:30 I've actually invited the Liberty Now, Liberty Speaks, the Chamber of Commerce, at Liberty to Say, and the city to come together and discuss possibilities of festivals and events. And I hope that we can accomplish one thing in that meeting is we can have a direction on a spring festival. And as a result of this meeting, I hope that a festival and events committee can come out of this meeting. So any councilman, we appreciate you attending if you could.
What day did you say? I'm sorry.
Thursday the 23rd.
23rd.
Yeah, at 5:30 here at Rosewood. And that is all I have. If there's no further issues, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion second, all in favor? Motion carries. Thank you.